and the team wouldn't effectively get any worse.
You know, we've been talking about training, you know, with Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, with the Season 3 EU qualifiers coming up, and your team, just like I was saying before, is in this qualifier for that. How are you guys kind of preparing for it? I mean, you don't want to give away all your secrets, obviously, but you want to kind of give us an insight into how you guys prepare for such a big event like that.
Well, we just try to put as much training as possible in, but it's sometimes it's tough because of university and school and work. So we just try to practice as much as possible, focus on a couple of strategies and perfect them.
All right, well, going back to Season 3 a little bit, because, I mean, it is still fairly early into the season. You haven't seen, you know, strategies really evolve besides the curse of the sad bullet time, which I think was at Monte Cristo that actually coined that term.
I think coined that term, yeah.
That was actually really funny. But, you know, what kind of items do you kind of see to be breaking out? I mean, we haven't seen too much Leandries. Obviously, you know, Azubu, that was Frost, was actually, no, that was Blaze running Kale mid with Leandries, with that Nashor's Tooth. What kind of items do you expect to, you know, break out out of nowhere?
In Season 3?
Yeah, in Season 3.
I personally see a lot more Morellos being built. It's actually a really interesting item with the cooldown reduction for AP players. And besides that, it's tough. I don't see a major item change incoming. I think the bruiser items are still very open with the sword of the, how's it called?
Sword of the Divine, yeah.
No, I mean the Dead King or something.
Oh, Sword of the Rune King.
Rune King, exactly.
Blade of the Rune King. There we go.
I think there are a lot of options with Zephyr and Hydra, and I think on top lane there's the most diversity, but the other lanes are pretty set.
It's all about Warmogs.
Yeah, it's about health stacking, which we've seen in OGN quite a bit. It's just, it can't get any better. I mean, they're going to have to eventually tweak that, I'm assuming, or else you're going to see, you know, Graves, who's constantly been running that. You know, you see a lot of AD carries running more defensive items. And bruisers, this is the real key thing, is that we've seen a lot of bruisers going mid lane now. How does it kind of affect, you know, the entire meta? I think we're going to see any of that today. I mean, during Intel Extreme Masters Clone, we saw that quite a bit with Frog, and I think he ran Jarvan mid lane, if I'm not mistaken. How does that really, you know, shake things up? Because you can catch a team off guard by running something like that, where we saw on OGN today, we saw a Nunu K mid lane for, that was Najin's sword, correct?
Yeah. It affects the game a lot because I think the bruiser balance is kind of tweaked, bruiser against bruiser on top lane. So most champs are kind of built around big sustain and high damage actually, and high, I don't know, they're just a bit too good in everything on mid lane. And what's basically happening right now is that you don't lose enough if you put a bruiser mid lane, because it used to be like you would lack AP damage and teamfight damage. But right now, with champs like Wukong or Kha'Zix, it's pretty much not a trade-off anymore. They are really strong on lane, and they are really strong in ganks, and they are really strong in map control, and even late game they are pretty strong. So I think there has to be some work done in that area, but yeah.
The way the game's evolving now, as you say, you can put bruisers mid, you can switch up your bottom lane, your AD carry support combo, put them mid, try and push that tower down early, or we saw Gragas put down in towards the bottom lane earlier on in OGN this morning, in fact. It just leaves so much up, which, as you mentioned before, teams making multiple different ideas, multiple different strategies around just picking champions that could go top or could go mid or could go jungle, and not really letting people have too much idea of what they're doing. And then mixing up even more once they actually get into the game. So once you find it on the load screen, you can see all the summoners posting, all right, so this guy's going to go to top, or this guy's going to go to jungle. No, actually, we get in game and suddenly everything's backwards. It's just a whole nother element to try and throw your opponents off guard. It keeps everything interesting.
Well, it looks like we finally did get the picks and bans, as both teams finally did pile into the lobby here, as we do have Azubu going to have be on the blue team, going to get the first span and the first pick. And I mean, as we were saying earlier, that kind of highly contested pick is Kha'Zix. Do you think we're going to see a ban on him?
That's true, but I think Shen and Eve, Azubu plays banned them every single game I've seen them play in the last weeks. So I pretty much expect Shen and Eve bans here.
Well, I know Alex is an amazing Evelyn, as we've seen in Season 2. As we do have a little bit of an error on the screen, but we will be getting that fixed shortly. As there it is. All right, so we do have that Lee Sin ban going out from Azubu Blaze, and we have Elise banned out from Gambit.
You are still against Gambit. It is still Diamond Procs, and he still plays a phenomenal Lee Sin. So it's not a completely surprising first ban from Azubu Blaze. I still have a couple others go. The Evelyn, as you mentioned, Shen's still there, but Gambit themselves opting to take out Elise. We mentioned before, she's very, very strong. She's great at mopping up low health champions. She can go almost anywhere. Not surprised to see her banned at all, but they are taking quite a while to actually decide on where these go.
I think
the Blaze just missed a ban,
Yeah, they actually just missed a ban. They're not sure if we're going to see a remake or anything. But I mean, what other kind of bans are you expecting? You're mentioning Shen, you mentioned Evelyn, but we should see a couple of more, a couple of different ones.
Yeah, Kale should probably be taken out against Korean teams since it's practiced a lot there. And Azubu, as I said, is a really, really strong pick right now, and a lot of tactics revolve around it. But I'm still not sure whether they missed the ban or did it intentional.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out eventually as we'll see either someone drop. Oh, there it is. They do ban out that Evelyn. So we have that Evelyn taken out. We have the Mumu available. We have Misfortune. We have Nunu. We still have Kha'Zix.
Yeah.
What's going to be the final ban?
Nunu.
But I was trying to sneak that in right before they did that.
Now there are Shen and Kha'Zix open, so it's going to be interesting which one they prefer.
Yeah, it just forces Azubu to pick, one of those two overpowered champions at the moment and gives that available. Actually going for Olaf instead.
It doesn't matter too much. There are like 3 OP champions right now, which are still not picked. And Olaf is definitely one of the strongest champs as well for early picking, since you can put him top lane or jungle.
And there's exactly that. Musket his first 2 picks. Is that curse of the third bullet home. Straight down in the bottom lane. I mean, Blaze missing their ban might have just been intentional. There is a very possibility that they wanted to leave that extra one open
right now, and so much possible that I don't actually know what they thought about this one.
Well, we know Flame is an amazing Olaf player. During the 10 games he played against his brother team, Zuba Frost, he played him quite a bit, did very well. I haven't really seen Diamond Prox too much on Azubu now I think about it. I know he's been playing, I know he's been practicing it because you kind of have to with how the meta evolves. But if they do lock these 2 in, what do we need to see Azubu Blaze pick up?
I'm pretty sure they will go for Shen and Kha'Zix. Kale would be another option to kind of counter the heavy AoE style Gambit is going for.
What we saw today at OGN, they ran a Gragas mid. I believe that was an option sword. Ran Gragas mid just to kind of separate the enemy team, so they can't really line up all their CC correctly. I mean, we could see a Sona pick, because I know how much, well, I have to call him Edward now, loves playing Sona, as everyone knows that. But it kind of disrupts everything like that. But we do see a Lulu and a Caitlyn locked in. And how does this kind of tell you what kind of composition they're going for?
Actually, it's very difficult to tell. I guess they have something up their sleeves against this Azubu Misfortune strat. But I still think they will go for protection with Shen. And probably either an assassin on mid lane or something protective as well. I mean, Gragas works phenomenal against Azubu, but Kartus as well. But I'm not sure if he's going to go for those.
Because the other thing you got to look at with the Mumu, he's not so much of an aggressive jungler. He likes to sit in his own jungle, farm up, gank his lanes, farm up a little more, get to level 6 as quick as he can. Diamond Prox, Lee Sin, Shyvana that he made famous back at Kiev, he liked to invade, he liked to be very aggressive, get in your face, get in your opponent's jungle. And Mumu's not quite the same in that sense. So, I mean, it's not to say he won't try it. He could try and make a play, get into that Blaze jungle, try and steal away some buffs if he knows where the enemy jungler is. But it's going to be a little bit more risky if that's the strategy he goes with. So he could have completely changed up his playstyle. This could be something very new we're about to see from Diamond Prox. But he does have Alex Sidge on that KO now in the mid lane, that AP KO we mentioned before, which is going to be able to push really, really well. So should he need to go in and help his jungler, he's going to get his opponent AP carry right under the turret. They're going to lose a lot of XP, they're going to lose a lot of gold from it, and he's going to have that invincibility ultimate that he can put on Diamond and allow him to escape should he need it.
Yeah, well, we do see Kha'Zix being hover over right now, and they will switch it over to Mundo. And that Twisted Fate, I was about to say, we see that a lot in Korea, and I'm sure you saw that a lot in OGN where you're playing with Navi. And he's kind of one of those tricky champions, in my opinion, where he either does really well in snowballs or he kind of falls off. But that Mundo does get locked in, so we'll be seeing him in the jungle and that Kha'Zix top lane. That is going to be very interesting. So what does Gambit need to pick here as they kind of do already pick it right away?
Yeah, it's very, very interesting stuff coming out from Azubu, in my opinion. I guess Mundo will be jungle, Olaf top lane, Kha'Zix mid lane. But I'm really surprised about not seeing Shen being picked up. That I don't know, maybe the misban was Shen.
Yeah, that's true. They could have actually told each other, oops, that might have been someone else. But looking at Gambit, looking at Azubu Blaze, Gambit has, I mean, could their lineup be any better right now? It's kind of a one-trick pony, but it's a one-trick pony that works.
Yeah.
I like everything about that Gambit lineup. Maybe the Renekton. That's the one thing I think could change. There's a lot of other possibilities that could be done, and a lot of people that could do the job he's there for. As we mentioned before, it's going to be a lot of big AoE damage. KO doing the same thing. Renekton's there to go and dash, slice and dice as it is between all the low health champions, clean people up, while of course absorbing damage in the process, because he's going to be a big tanky champion. So there's a couple of other people to do it. Aurelia is one that's right up there, very, very strong in the process. Darian, I mean, Yorick can even do it to Haiku. A lot of people really underestimate the damage output Yorick has, and it's something that Darian's played a lot of. And if you're going to do that, mop up low health champions, put down AoE slows, chase everyone down, copying Misfortune at the same time, giving 2 very fast movement speed buff champions following you around, cleaning up, a lot of damage there. But, well, we'll see whether Renekton works. It's obviously something they've been practicing, as we mentioned. They've been in training for a long, long time now. So, certainly set up for an exciting.
Yeah, and early game, late game. Who do you guys have picked? Who's going to win early? Who's going to win late, if everything goes ideally?
If it goes very late, Azubu wins. But it's really tough to bring something very late against Amumu and general AoE comps, especially if you have a team again like Moscow, like Gambit.
I wasn't the first one, yes!
Was me. If you have a very aggressive team, and they are very aggressive, they've always been very aggressive, and if they force objectives when they have no downtimes, and if they have every cooldown ready, it's going to be really hard.
All right, Panky, real quick, who do you think can actually take this game?
I actually think it's a game, I think, as we mentioned, Gambit's comp very, very strong. It's going to be hard to drag that out to late game. Azubu, if it gets there, they've got a very strong team. They can do it, but they will continually keep scaling, getting stronger, doing a lot of damage. Kha'Zix will just get stronger and stronger. Caitlyn is still there, stronger and stronger. And Flame, Olaf, he's just going to get bigger and bigger, and then he's going to run through all your crowd control, and he's just going to slap down a lightning bolt in your face and clean up. But that all being said, Gambit have Renekton, who is notoriously very, very strong in the early game. Once you hit level 6 with the movement, they're going to be able to take a lot of the early dragons, get a substantial gold lead from that. Providing they group, providing they push the team, they can start taking down global objectives early on. And providing they take them by surprise, Azubu aren't going to be able to put up too much of a contest for a little while. They're going to have to be very careful how these take these fights. And should Gambit pick and choose them well, can have complete control of the early game.
All right, so we have one for Azubu Blaze, we have one for Gambit Gaming. I'm going to stay neutral here. But guys, we're going to throw it over to your casters, Joe Miller and Demon.
So here we go then, first game of the Intel Extreme Masters here in Katowice. Azubu Blades versus Gambit Gaming. Demon, what's your opinion on the kickoff here?
Well, this is going to be a very lively game, and you can immediately see Azubu knew exactly what they wanted, but they've also given Gambit what they wanted. Gambit have got their niche. They've managed to get Alex on KO. That's something that's been banned permanently through the Korean scene, and Alex has been practicing it and playing it a lot. So I think both teams are going to be happy with their picks here. We see Ambition. He's been heavily favoritized. Favoritized? Is that even a word? Heavily favored on Kha'Zix. And we could, well, see an invade possibly. I think it may well be a late invade from Gambit. I think they're going to go late invade on towards red here.
Well, Azubu currently are hanging around in their side of the jungle by those Wraiths. Helios is going to be starting there as Mundo, and the question is, will Moscow 5 make the move in and put the pressure down early on? Darian is actually recalling currently. He's going to be heading back home and into his lane, and it doesn't look like Gambit fancy their chances here of pushing anything out. And we're going to have a pretty pensive start, Demon.
Yeah, and I thought there was going to be a lane swap, actually, because they were so quick to lock in. Lustboy was with Lulu and of course, Caitlyn, but not going to happen. They are going to stick to normal, so it's going to be Wolves beginning for Diamond. It's going to be Wraiths for Helios. I'm just seeing where the rest of the team are going to pan out. Is Ambition, if we just take over towards Ambition, I'm just seeing whether he's actually going to help out, what's going to happen between those two. We are seeing, of course, Helios is going for the red buff to start with. Heavy help from Lustboy and Captain Jack. Is going to have a lane swap here. If I could get my words out, we're going to have a duo lane in the mid here. This is definitely going to change things up.
Oh,
wow,
Ambition
very low there.
Super low there on that blue buff, but managing to pick it up, and that's the crucial thing, I suppose, for the start of that one. He's going to be going back into his lane. And we are seeing Caitlyn in this middle lane right now as well, just trying to force Alex Ich as much as he can in this early stage of things away. Darren Prox is actually in there behind him, but the interesting thing is that Helios and Lustboy here are in fact invading on towards this red buff. They are going to be taking this one away without Gambit Gaming being able to do anything whatsoever about that one. And we can see Amumu going to try and do exactly the same on the bottom side of the map as well. We need to actually just switch the in-game view to my PC. That would be really cool, actually, for this one. A little bit of a change in there. I think you see a Polish stream that we're actually watching there from the start. But we have the AD carry support in the middle lane here for Azubu.
Yeah, as it stands, we can see Kha'Zix is going to position himself down that bottom, which is immediately an interesting setup because it is Diamond down there at the moment. We can see a heavy push in the mid lane. Oh, and a flash actually be used by Darian in the top lane. He does manage to get away from Flame there. And Flame having a lot of pressure on them all. And if you remember way back when into Kiev, Darian on Renekton was something we saw way back then. He would heavily invade in towards the jungle, go straight towards those wolves. He may well get pinned in at the top lane at the moment. We are looking at the bottom though. Unfortunately, we're not using your camera, Joe, like you mentioned. We are watching the Polish stream. And as it stands, Arthalon, you see, that's how much I've been casting the North American scene. I've been calling Ambition Arthalon because that's how much I've seen Kha'Zix this weekend. Kha'Zix has been a very strong champion throughout these tournaments, and you know, I'm not surprised to see him picked straight away as soon as he was available to the Genja down the bottom. He's keeping him pressured though, and at the moment it's going to be very even. No one really going for any crazy invades yet.
Yeah, we should probably have a look at the items here at the start, because obviously things have changed a major amount with the introduction of those Season 3 items coming in there. We can see in the top, pretty standard start from the Olaf, stacking up the Crystalline Flask with those 4 pots that he's currently got in there. On the other side, we do have Renekton with a Doran's Blade, plus cloth armor and pots as well. Both junglers starting with the Hunter's Machete. There are the boots as well on both sides of things as well. AD carries both with a Doran's Blade at the very get-go.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see how the starts were. If anyone watched the OGN Championships this morning, we saw actually the Amumu was started out with Philo Stone, went straight for that instead of going for Hunter's Machete, which a lot of everybody pretty much does these days. But as it stands, you can see Ambition forcing on towards Genja on this bottom lane, but he is just going to push him back. Weird to see Genja solo. I mean, we've seen basically Edward, also known as Gosu Pepper formerly, he's now decided to change his name in that mid lane, pretty much babysitting with Alex because that duo lane decided to switch mid.
Yeah, and I'll apologize now. The word Moscow 5 will get brought out at some point here today. Obviously, recently changed their names to Gambit Gaming, so apologies already from the get-go of how often that one will most definitely be coming out throughout the course of this first day. But either way, as you said, if we look at the CS now, we can kind of compare things. Obviously, lanes are all topsy-turvy at this point, but in the bottom, we are actually seeing Misfortune here in trouble. Flashes from both players. Can they manage to lock down Genja? Here comes the axe out there. They have managed to get that slow off. Where's the Ignite? There's the Ignite. Genja going very low, and there is first blood coming out. It's Kha'Zix that picks it up, and that is the start that Azubu Blades were looking for.
Well, that's exactly what they needed. Ambition's going to be happy with that one. Helped out heavily by Helios, of course. And then choppers being thrown in there. So we are seeing Edward going back in the mid lane while Captain Jack continues to pressure. Want to see really who's going to win this race at the moment. The thing is that the Korean team have duo lane that mid lane. They're going to be putting the pressure on there. Meanwhile, then top there, you can see actually Flame getting a lot of aggression from Darian. He's just pressuring it. Down the bottom, though, the pressure's not really on the turret because Genja's on his own, so he's not pushing the tower. So Azubu Blaze are doing exactly what they want as their game plan. But as it is, Gambit Gaming are not being able to do it.
Yeah, middle turret as well. He's down to below half HP. So this Lulu Caitlyn in the middle lane is proving to be very successful in terms of pushing that tower out. On that side of things, Kha'Zix is obviously going to be coming back in towards his lane here in just a few moments. Does have that double longsword from the start, and the flask pots, ward, and the tier 1 boots as well in there from the start. Genja has come back into lane after giving that first blood up with a second Doran's Blade as well. In terms of the jungler, I just saw Edward there. That's going to take some getting used to, not calling him Gosu Pepper as well. Just getting some wards down on their blue buff. So a little bit cautious here, Gambit Gaming, of having that blue invaded away from them on his second spawn.
So mid lane on the pressure, and you can see it's actually Edward trying to get as much CS as he can, trying to desperately take anything away. Of course, formerly known as Scumbag Gosu Pepper. And he used to do just that. As it is, Ambition farming quite really freely down the bottom, which is less than ideal. You can see between the lanes, we do see that Caitlyn is ahead. So Azubu really across the board ahead in the farm in just about every lane. As it is, Lost Boy is even there trying to keep the CS going along with Edward. And he has actually leading as well. So very close still though. Just that one kill, which is really the difference. And a few of those kills lanes switching between them. Just having a look across the board, seeing exactly where this duo lane. Lustboy and Helios coming in. Diamond Prox is in the jungle. You can see the ward going down. He realizes he's going to pull away. We can see actually also that Alex is just going to come around there, but it doesn't matter. They're going to have to back away from this. The red buff will go to Azubu Blaze, and they have just bullied them out of their own jungle, which is exactly what you've got to do against Gambit Gaming.
Oh, Diamond here could be in a little bit of trouble. Cleaver will land. He's forced to flash over the wall. The Azubu Blaze not going to be pushing any further than one. But here comes the ulti, actually, out of Captain Jack. Just trying to get as much damage as he can onto Genja and force him away from this turret so that they can turn it into the first turret of the game. There is bullet time used to clear out the creep wave. And that's a good reaction from Genja to stop that from happening.
Yeah, we can see the Brutalizer being built up already by Kha'Zix. So Ambition will be happy with that one. Alex, meanwhile, switching down to this bottom lane, putting a bit of pressure on the turret. Immediately, Ambition is going to have to react. So we see the standard 2 AP mids, although they're not AP mids this time around, are going to be down that bottom there. And you can see they're just going to stand off. Alex sat ready and waiting to put a bit of damage down on Ambition, forcing him to jump away. Keep those cooldowns going. Where's Diamond Prox going? They've just really got great control over Diamond Prox. Every time he tries to invade, he walks straight past the wards.
Yeah, playing it really nicely here, Azubu Blazing. Now, it was always a hard one to call this game, to be honest with you. We've not seen much of Gambit. They've been kind of secretly training for everything moving up towards Season 3 and towards these events that we've got going on. So it was a hard one to say what was going to happen. Obviously, Azubu Blaze, we've seen week in, week out for the last 2-3 months, obviously, as they've been playing OGN Champions back down towards IPL and what have you, which is incidentally the last time we saw these two teams meeting up, which obviously ended in a 2-1 victory for Moscow 5 in the playoffs. But we've got to a bit more of a quieter phase of things. You can still see that Azubu Blaze do have good ward coverage in the Gambit Gaming top side of the jungle. They've got one on either side of the middle lane. They've got one out by Dragon. So ward coverage right now is optimal for Azubu Blaze.
Yeah, and apologies if you're obviously noticing a little bit of a change in the sound, because the sound's coming from my PC. The camera's coming from the Polish TV.
And I'm supposed to be controlling.
So we're a little bit out of sorts right now. So apologies if you're noticing we are seemingly distracted during this match. But as it is, that mid turret is very, very low. And Gambit Gaming up against the pressure, which is obviously why they switched the lanes around. Just waiting to see really what Helios is going to create here. Obviously helped out and created that first kill. Looking at the moment, just picking up the Wraith, seeing if he's going to go towards that mid lane. Meanwhile, at the top here, you can see Flame and Darian back and forth action, but the CS across the board still is in Azubu Blaze's favor. We are starting to see the BF sword coming out. This is something we've seen a lot of. Captain Jack going early BF sword. The Korean scene tuned this one. Meanwhile, you can see Genja, he went for the safer double Dorans and boots there. So no boots currently for the AD carry. Whether Captain Jack's going to pay the price for that one, but as it is, he's quite happy. And of course, there is the 2 Giants belts coming from the Korean team.
Yeah, we can, I think the last couple of months have really proved to us that if you count the Giants belts, you can see who's going to win the games. As we are seeing there, Genja did get ulted onto by Captain Jack, which kind of opened this turret up for them. They brought Mundo in there as well to do as much damage as they could. They've managed to take down that turret. That will be the first one of this game. And if we look at the gold, now CS on the side of Azubu Blaze, turrets on the side of Azubu Blaze, and that translates already to a 2,200 gold lead for the Korean side in this one.
So we do just see...
Now they're doing Dragon.
They are going Dragon, and there comes Ambition, already leveled up his rockets, his Void Spikes, of course. Standard stuff from all of these players at the moment, and Azubu Blaze just performing better across the board. They seem a more complete team. Of course, they've been playing in the OGN Championships pretty much throughout the winter season, so they're going to be well prepared. They've had that epic 10-match battle with Azubu Frost, and obviously Paul mistakenly called them Azubu Frost, so well, they did say, well, we are in Poland, we are pretty cold, so therefore Frost is quite fitting right now. But as it stands, we do see Ambition popping back. Bloodthirster completed meanwhile by Captain Jack, still has yet to get the boots on, and Brutalizer being picked up by Ambition. As it is, though, you can see that Alex H is kind of the saving grace. He's keeping up the CS. Genja's now passed in the mid there, past Captain Jack. We are seeing a bit of pressure on towards his top lane now. You can see immediately the ulti coming out from Darren. He might be able to catch on towards Flame. Flame, of course, with Ragnarok, is just going to stroll away. Will not get stunned, and it does force him out of lane, though.
Yeah, nicely done there by Darian, trying to get himself back onto the level there with the CS, but he's all up at the end of the day, and that Kindle gem obviously giving him that cooldown reduction as well for his E basically means he's going to be hitting faster, he's going to be hitting harder, and that Reckless Swing going to be coming out a lot more often into the equation. So Darian knows that he still can't be pushing too aggressively on this top lane, and he just wants to get him out of there, wants to force him back home so that he can bring this CS count back towards even. Meanwhile, Captain Jack and Lustboy have transferred themselves down into this bottom lane. They're going to be looking for the second turret of the game with this one. Already around half HP is that turret, and that's the beauty of the Caitlyn. The range is a really great thing to have when pushing these turrets down.
It is, and you can see that switch around. I mean, the fact that that mid turret went down, the pressure once again all on them. And Azubu Blaze, this is what we saw way back when we saw them first visit MLG New York. They put the pressure on the turrets, and one by one they fell, and it just adds more and more pressure. We are seeing the Diamond Prox, though, coming around towards this bottom lane. And Joe, I think they're going to go for it. He's got Curse of the Sad Mummy available. He's going in.
Yeah, we saw the cleanse actually being used there by Captain Jack, so he's going to keep himself safe from that one. Diamond just going to stroll straight off from it, decides not to go any further, and decided not to put down the Curse in there as well.
So as it stands, we do see Kha'Zix returning back towards the mid lane. And I'm not sure where the camera was looking. It was just like, well, let's have a look at the river. The river's beautiful. But, I mean, Alex Itch at the moment, he's picked up Kayle. Kale's the champion that they kind of quite happy to get, quite happy to take, but it just doesn't seem to have paid off. He's really needing to put pressure down. Meanwhile, you can see up the top here, Darian's in all sorts of trouble, and surely Flame should be able to take him down. Popping the ulti, trying to keep himself alive on that turret so low, but the ignition? Well, I guess it's technically an ignition, did run out, and he does manage to avoid it. Didn't use Ignite himself, but we could see Ambition coming leaping in there. Has managed to level up, and you can see diving straight in towards Diamond Prox. Curse of the Sad Mummy was used, catches Ambition on the turret, and it will force them both away. They have got a wave of minions, though, but Diamond Prox saves the day and keeps his top laner safe.
Yep, and again, we're seeing an invasion in towards this red buff. That is every single red buff now, if I'm not horribly mistaken. Counting's never been my strong point, but we've seen them inside of the jungle there so often in this one, and that is another one being taken away from Diamond, who's actually up by his Wraiths at the moment. Meanwhile, down in the bottom, let's have a peek down there, as we are seeing both AD carries taking damage. Captain Jack had the Ignite running on him, was able to stay alive from that one. I think one thing worth noticing that we didn't really touch on earlier on is that Miss Fortune is running Ghost Ignite, so really focusing on having that escape ability, or you know, to help out with the engage, depending on how that situation is going to be turning out with them. So let's have a look at the overall picture of this game right now. 21.3 thousand gold to 18.2 thousand gold in favor of Azubu Frost. They've got the 1 kill lead, they've got the 1 turret lead as well, so a very solid foundation moving 16 minutes in. They took the first dragon, and by the time that second one comes around, sadly our timers in the top right aren't updated, but they will be in there as down in the bottom lane. In fact, in the top lane there's action, but the bottom is certainly a lot more going on as the AD carries are in danger. But there we can see the Darian going very low. Is he going to go down? Yes, he will.
Well, it's just a straight clean kill there. Ambition managing to move in. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, there's also pressure. You can see actually Alex is doing it, but they should take the turret down here, Flame. He's going to have a lot of damage down on it. And again, apologies, the sound not syncing up with the... You can hear the bullet time going off, and there it is. It's a little bit delayed, and it's now coming from your game, Joe. So we are all over the show for the moment. Meanwhile, you can see the turret damage on towards Edward. Edward does survive, though, and he falls back. And no, he's going to be sniped from long range. Captain Jack takes him down with the help of that ward.
Yeah, that ward, again, just proving that, I mean, it's not that often that you'll see a ward coming down here from the blue team, but, well, it just proves that these little, just these tiny things can give you such a big advantage as we go further on into the game. And I just noticed as well, Demon, that my screen is actually active on the main stage there, which is another interesting fact into everything. But meanwhile, down on the bottom, we are seeing Genji there push down. That was Ambition and came in around the side of things, and that will be 4-0 in favor of Azubu Blaze. And to be honest with you, they are just looking so flawless right now. We've not seen any mistakes out of them, and this could be, I mean, in my opinion, these kind of performances, it just shows the kind of well-oiled machine that Azubu Blaze are, and that kind of thing, obviously comes from talent, but it comes from practicing and from playing day in, day out, tournaments twice a week. And that's something that I think Azubu Blaze and certainly Azubu Frost as well over in the other group are probably going to have as an advantage over these other sides.
And it also shows why Kha'Zix has been banned so heavily as it is. You see Azubu Blaze going to pick up the Dragon here. And well, as it stands, the double Warmogs are out there. And Azubu really are in a sweet, sweet spot right now because they have really the items that they were after, the major items, all starting to stack up. So when it does eventually come down to a big team fight, they are way ahead in terms of power right now. You can see the gold stacking up as well. Lustboy trying to come across with the Glitter Lance, tried to steal away the blue there, didn't quite work out for him. Did see some epic blue steals earlier on in the day, of course, in OGN. If you guys missed that, you missed some pretty cracking matches. Magnoon being very strong, but right here we are at the Intel Extreme Masters in Katowice, and well, I mean, the crowd here is just bonkers. It's absolutely packed house right now in the League of Legends stands. But here we see Gambit Gaming making their final push, and they are going to get the first tower of the game. However, they are still 3-1 behind, Joe.
Yeah, still 3-1 behind in turrets. Obviously, that second Dragon went the way of Azubu Blaze. You saw, actually, on that blue buff, I think it was all 5, certainly was 4 members of Gambit securing that blue buff earlier on. And that just shows you kind of how worried they are about these buffs being stolen away, because up till now, Azubu, especially on the red buff, have been very effective. But look at this, they're coming in towards this inner middle turret now. It's already down to around about half HP. There is the ultimate coming out of Caitlyn to try and force them back a little bit. I mean, they've got decent poke with that Piltover Peacemaker there, with the Void Spikes coming out of Kha'Zix, not to mention, you know, Glitter Lance, the Cleavers, the Axe from Olaf as well. They've got good damage at range from this one, which is going to make it hard for Gambit to stay on these turrets for all that long. If you look at the ultimate, so Curse of the Sad Mummy is up, bullet time is ready, so may just see Gambit going for an attack from this one to try and turn things around. So there's another reckless swing coming down on towards Darian. That turret slowly, but the most important part, surely going down.
Yeah, and you know, if Gambit are going to do anything, they have to do it now. They're going to lose that inner turret. They've just been surely poked out of that one. There was nothing they could do. At the moment, they've not landed the wombo combo that they have. They have, obviously, Amumu in there. They have Curse of the Sad Bullet Time to use. And, of course, they have the Crescendo to follow it up. And Alex, if he can catch them all, they catch a number of members in that one spot. Oh, wow, Edward just getting deleted from the map straight away, leaping across. And that's just how quick. I mean, he was completely out of position there. They may even try and rush Baron here.
They may, but they may also set up a trap, and that is one of the downfalls of not having any vision whatsoever in that area. You can see the 3 of them there, as we are going to see Ambition diving in on towards Diamond Props. Curse of the Sad Mummy comes down to stop him being killed, but they're pushing in on this top side now. Darian, the one in trouble. Where's the Cleaver out of Helios? There he is. Slow, it's going to land. They're moving in. Ultimate actually coming out of Lulu. Kill secured for Azubu. Will they take the turret, or will they go for Baron?
Well, it's going to be a clean kill once again, so we are going to see them backing off. And they're just going to spend the well-earned gold there. You can see a 4-0 now. Kha'Zix does go back, and of course he picks up a Giant's Belt. Why, what else would you buy when you do back and you're just quite successfully getting a lot of damage down? But they're yet to go for anything. They are just in full control of this game at the moment. Gambit Gaming really need to get themselves back into this. I have no idea what they're going to do to do that. As it stands, they are completely being pushed and bullied all around the map by Azubu Blaze. 6-0, you can see on your screens, the big gold differential is huge. 8,000 gold, 4-1 in turrets. And they are just going to go back and stay safe and buy. Let's see what Olaf goes back and buys. He has got, of course, Glacial Shroud, so he's going to stack himself even higher. And as it stands, it is a big, big difference for Azubu Blaze.
A big, big difference. We can see there between the AD carries, a Bloodthirster already finished for Caitlyn. We've got the Static Shiv finished there as well. Still on those tier 1 boots, which we're seeing more and more common. The boots becoming kind of secondary to everything else in terms of, you know, the damage, that attack speed coming out there as well. Just a little bit of a push in that middle lane from Kha'Zix and Caitlyn, not really resulting in anything. Gambit got 4 men in and around that area to make sure that no push can come out. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we have have, again, Flame and Darian pretty much going head-to-head, just bashing themselves against each other from that one. But the thing is, he's got that nice slow here, Flame. We'll see if he can actually stay onto Darian. Those reckless swings coming in as he gets lower, that attack speed coming up. There is Ragnarok popped as well. He's going to get help here from Diamond Procs, but can they stop him? Axe comes down. Darian is still managing to walk away. He's missed the second one here as Flame, but there is the reckless swing coming out. There is a Lulu ulti onto Flame as well, and guess what? They are turning this one around. Diamond, the one now in trouble. Here comes a Caitlyn ultimate from across the other side, and Diamond will fall in the end to Lust Boy. Absolutely ridiculous from Azubu Blaze.
Meanwhile, in the middle, you can see Alex did also pick up a kill on Ambition there, so they've kind of traded one around. Can they get him towards Helios as well? They're going to try and get the slowdown on him. The rest of the team are heading down, and Alex simply has no mana to deal with this one. So first kill of the game, actually, for Alex. But Alex in trouble now. He gets slowed. The cleaver on him. Genji's going to have to back away as well. There's going to be the ultimate used by Helios, and they're going to get the Glitterlance down towards Genji. Genji's going to be in trouble. Edward now in trouble. They have enough to dive this one, but they just split targets, and they didn't really know what they were going for, and instead they're going to back away. The top lane being pressured again, and well, Flame doesn't know what he's beaten and finally will back away from Darian.
And we can see there Azubu Blaze backing away, and it's going to be another buff stolen away. I mean, red buff has been there basically throughout this entire game from the Gambit game inside of the jungle. That blue buff taken away. The dragons all going in their favor. If we look at the gold, it's not too far away from that 10,000 gold mark right now, which you know, is just an amazing position for Azubu to be in. As I said there, you can see Captain Jack with that static shift, got double buff on him, got that bloodthirster. He is farming very easily. I'm not sure that Kale could really go head-to-head with him there. Has finished up that Leandris now as well to add into things. They've just spotted Mundo. There are wards down, and that's because this dragon has now spawned. And we may just see Moscow 5 saying, Gambit came in saying that we really could do with the dragon at this point of the game. We could do with that extra cash to get those next items bought and give us a chance when it comes towards these team fights later on. But Azubu holding their ground, and they've got a perfect champion to do that in Mundo, who can stand there with his billion health and throw cleavers at them all day long. There is the Oracle coming down as well. Wards cleared out. Dragon has been started away, and we are going to see them peeling off here for the fight as Flame is going to go in there. Who's he going to go for? He goes straight in on towards Sona. That kill's going to come down. Lustboy will die in the middle of it. Darian actually in the middle of the fight is taking a lot of damage here. That Lulu ultimate was on Olaf, and how do you stop an Olaf like that? It's just absolutely impossible. Alex uses the ultimate on himself. He goes down. Reset comes in for Ambition. He's going to jump over onto Diamond. Can he finish him off here? Can he get that slowdown? Well, he does have the ability. There it is coming down now, but he can't quite finish it off. But that is 4 kills, Demon. That is 4 kills for Azubu Azubu Blaze and Flame, and they've only lost Lustboy for it as well.
And the problem there is Gambit Gaming, they just not got their combo off once yet. It was completely null and void by the fact that Flame was at the front, hit that Ragnarok, just ghost, and just went straight through the entire team. There was nothing they could do to stop him. And then Curse of the Sad Bomb was used. Well, it was too late because Genji was already taken down. He was dead. He was a dead man. And so he just got annihilated. Bullet time didn't even get used in that fight because he was already deleted from the map. Edward, of course, also caught out of position, but they just don't have the main damage coming out. So while all this combo is in there, they will get their first kill, third kill, sorry, on towards Helios. But is it too late? They haven't been able to land those combos, and as it stands, Azubu Blaze, they've played against this exact same composition for an entire season of OGN Winter. They are well prepared of how to deal with the wombo combo that is going to be Curse of the Sad Bullet Time, and they seem to have it down pat. And we can see Ambition, he's been picking off the kills. 5-1-2, 3-0 for Olaf. Olaf is perma-banned in Korea. I've not seen him get through in a lot of games. I'd have to check through the stats on Leaguepedia, but I don't remember the last time I saw an Olaf get through. If you remember back to IEM Cologne, remember Reaper went 19-0-8, and that was still in Season 2. The Koreans know how to play that top lane Olaf Pacho, but they're going in for it.
Yeah, this is bad news for Gambit. As
the resets.
Gets himself the double kill. There's another jump. There's a triple kill. Can he take down Diamond Procs as well? Yes,
no penta.
But he doesn't get the penta because Olaf steals it away. Either way, it's an ace for Azubu Blaze. That was another totally one-sided fight. Look at the health on Azubu. Most of the focus, in fact, I should go ahead and say all the focus went onto Olaf. Now this Olaf, he's got a Warmox, he's got the Glacial Shroud, he's got Kindle Gem, Negatron Cloak in there. He is beefy. And then, well, I mean, he's got the Lulu Ultimate on him as well. He is just too strong, that focus on him completely. But again, Demon, the experts talked about this one-trick pony, albeit a solid, brilliant one-trick pony lineup that Gambit have got in terms of that wombo combo, as you've been saying. But they've not got it off. And if you're going to go for something like that, it's got to work out, otherwise you don't win the game.
Well, and the problem is it's been completely nullified by the fact that Flame can pop Ragnarok, Ghost in there, and then immediately the Wild Growth from Lustboy is just popping them out, and it's like, well, you've done your combo, but bam, we've just completely countered it. And Azubu, like I mentioned, they've been playing against this for so long, they are so well aware of what exactly they've got to do to counter it, and it seems to be working very well. They are 17-3 up, they are what now, 15,000 gold ahead, they are in complete dominant position, and Gambit Gaming are going to have to sit back, reset themselves after this game and figure out what we're going to do, because if this is what they've put all their money on, bear in mind they had a really wide open choice of what they had. Olaf was the first pick, and they went to go with the Amumu Misfortune combo. Didn't work. You know, Kha'Zix was available. Shen, we think, was banned. I think it was the silent ban that we didn't get to see. But there were so many other options out there, and you know, Najin sort of just shown this morning that this combo can be countered pretty easily, and Azubu clearly knowing exactly how to do it as well.
Well, that's what I was thinking as well. I hope not too many teams have put their eggs in this this whole basket, because Azubu Blaze, which means Azubu Frost as well, is certainly going to know how to play against this combo, and if that's what you've come as your ace card, well, you better just change it quickly before you get too far in with that one. We can see here Flame pushing down this top turret. Darian is going to come into him. We've got Captain Jack around the side, and he's just hammering away on this turret while Flame is going in towards Darian. Yeah, it's too easy there for Captain Jack to have that turret away. Yes, they've managed to force him off, but for how long is pretty clear to me. It's not going to take long before Olaf gets his way through that one as well. Meanwhile, we have Ambition in there towards this inhibitor. We've got Helios there, Lustboy and Captain Jack coming around as well. That Baron buff, of course, is still going on. Meanwhile, in the top lane, we saw Flame taking down that inner turret. They're going now onto the inhibitor turret, and Darian is right in the middle of the pack. He is in trouble now. They're going to force him away. There goes the bandage toss from Diamond Prox, but can they do much in this fight? Can they stop Azubu with that Baron buff on there? Ambition onto the side. Here he goes, jumping in. There's a crescendo. The curse of the Sad Mummy comes down as well. Darian is dead. He's jumping all over the place. The kills are coming down, and that is an ace inside the base of Gambit Gaming. Next inhibitor goes down, and the Nexus is going to follow. Absolute
destruction now from Azubu Blaze, and they're showing why they've been really one of the top teams in Korea for so long. They did get beaten by Moscow 5 as they were back at IPL 5, but Gambit Gaming, the newly reformed team, has been beaten in their very first game under that same title, and you can see, well, they don't look too happy about it, but well, Azubu Blaze, they came prepared for this tournament. They came here and they kicked absolute ass in the first match.
They look so good. They look so solid. 22-3 in kills. Mistakes, we didn't see any from Azubu Blaze in that one. I mean, Ambition. Why have we seen Kha'Zix so often? Because these guys know how to play him, and when you know how to play him, he's ridiculously strong. 11-1-6. That was the finishing score there for Ambition. Just across the board, Olaf was another one that we pointed out that is probably worth a ban at this stage. 6-0-8. Captain Jack on Caitlyn, 2-0-12. Just overall such a solid play coming out of Azubu Blaze, and just showing the rest of the teams here in Group A that, well, they might have thought, okay, they've travelled from Korea, they might be a little bit dodgy because of that here on first day. Not at all, not at all.
Yeah, absolutely superb stuff. The sportsmanship shown between the teams. But to break it all down, we may as well get over to the... are they the Cool Kids Desk? Do we call them the Cool Kids Desk? I'm not sure if they've earned that title yet.
But I'm
not sure they've earned that title. They've got to earn that title. We're going to go over to the Experts Desk. It is going to be Jason, Panky, and Citizen Wayne.
I want to go with the diverse desk, since we have a British, a German, and an American here. But anyways, we are in the expert desk here, and what a way to kick off the entire event. That was a lot more one-sided though than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it was very much Azubu Blaze. The whole story, that was the game. They took control from the level from the get-go. They just snowballed it all the way through, and Gambit never really got a word in.
And in the bands of picks, we didn't really talk too much about the Renekton. We did point out, actually, you pointed out that it's kind of a little bit of a dodgy pick, and he's more of an early game champion. And how did that kind of really affect the team? Because it kind of snowballed really bad.
I don't think that affected the team at all, because most of the action happened around top lane and didn't really affect Renekton. He got outfarmed a bit, but I don't think that's pick related too much. I think it was much rather about the execution of the level 1 and Kha'Zix.
Okay. And Panky, if I understand, you have a replay ready for us. Can you kind of tell us what it's about?
We do. This is right at the start of the game. This is Azubu and how they started the match off. They gave Ambition the blue buff with a little bit of help from Flame. They did the walls, they did the blue buff. It got him level 2. Helios started at his red, and they immediately went straight into the Gambit jungle to shut down Diamond Procs and take away his red buff. So if we can get that up on screen, we'll talk you through that. Or rather, Citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll get it on screen. But in the meantime, I mean, they did control quite a bit of the red buff. I mean, I'm trying to think if Gambit even got one the entire game, and if they did, it was, obviously towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting approach on level 1, because usually you see the 1v2 laner take blue buff on red side. That's very usual, because you're right there at your bot lane, kind of, and it makes sense. But what they did was taking a lot of time for Kha'Zix to actually do blue on blue side, which is pretty unusual, and then walk bot. And with the setup of having 2 people on mid lane, they had very easy invade on red against a weak jungler like Azubu.
Well, hopefully we'll get that replay up. Oh, we got a bug splat, so we're not going to have any replays for you. But hopefully next time we'll be able to. But still, I mean, what were the other replays we had set up?
It was a couple of the other invades. I mean, the second red buff steal was at 7 minutes 50. Just all the way they brought Ambition all the way up the river, past the dragon, stuck him in that mid lane, and kept Edward and Alexid pressured under that mid turret. Then used Caitlyn and Lulu standing between the Wraiths and the Baron, the ramp, and zoned him out from that path. Diamond Procs then just had to face off 1v1 against Helios, who was already behind after the bad start, pushed off, bullied off there, had to go to his Wraiths on his own. Helios took the red buff, then they forced him to flash away because he got a little bit too greedy staying at those Wraiths. And again, he was even further behind, didn't have that flash, didn't have another big buff, another big chunk of XP. Azubu used that to try and push down onto the mid turret, but unfortunately Genji was there with his ultimate, just cleared the wave out, forced him to back off and reset for a little bit. But again, it was the second red buff, and I don't think, as you say, until it was right at the end, I don't think Gambit got any of their red buffs at all that game.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, we did have a bug splat error, so we can't really put any replays through. But as a player, System Wayne, where was the point where you knew that it was completely going to be in Blaze's favor?
It doesn't sound too great, but it's almost level 1, I think. Like, level 1 is extremely deciding right now, and level 1 was extremely important, and then you see already as a good team that you're far behind. Like, level 1 was really deciding. Lane swap turned out extremely well for Azubu plays, which was kind of obvious. And the moment where it was kind of sealed already, where Gambit needs a major comeback, is when Misfortune dies on bot lane. It was very unlucky because the ward just ended, basically. But this kind of like seals it for the early game. And if they don't have a major team fight where they can play out their comp, and Azubu pressured so well that they never got to pull their comp off. So it was kind of hard for them after this point.
And is that kind of the downside of that composition? If you have a synergy based on team fighting, and if you don't get to that point where you get picked off early on, which is exactly what Azubu Blaze did, you kind of can't force these team fights, and unfortunately, you're not going to win them even if you do.
Yeah, it's also a bit about creativity for level 1, because if you have Amu and you start blue buff and then move red buff, and they have it warded, and they have it warded, and you kind of need to pull something off to make this kind of comp work and to pull it to mid game. And if you just play it standard and the enemy knows what you play and how you're going to play it, they can counter it. And if they put thought into it, like